Firstly, and indeed this is a first, one of my earliest subscribers, Nathalia, who I've been speaking to pretty much on like a day-to-day basis, reached out and said she'd like to send me some books, which was lovely. And of the stack of books that she sent, there was Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. She doesn't have a YouTube channel, but I'll link her Instagram down below. Please go over and follow. She's just an absolutely wonderful person. The reason I picked this book out over the others that were sent is that my interest was piqued. I've read some of this before Natalia had sent me this book. In a video that's going to come out in the future, Hannah from Let's Talk About Books Baby sent me an excerpt of page 112 of Boy Parts, and this was my reaction.
But if found him perched on the toilet lid, she would have used tampon he'd fished out of my bath. What am I reading? One hand in his jeans, eyes half shut, head back. He didn't notice me till the flash went off on my camera. He spat the tampon out and lunged, fluff all over his teeth. I took another photo before cackling and legging it out of my room. What is this? Why did any of this happen? I have so many questions. I can't articulate them. But likewise, as you've read that with me, you're probably thinking the same thing.
So I want to know, how did we get to that particular spot? And where was the story going for the rest of the pages? What this story is a viewpoint told solely by Irina. And Irina is a photography student in a prestigious London art school. And her topic of focus is fetish. She's interested in the human body and the human form, how it flows, how it moves, but with the constraints of leather, bondage, masks, and how people react in situations of dominance and submission. And submission's really the part that plays into this, because even though during that moment when the studio is set up, when the lights are on, when the camera is rolling, this is not how photography works, but Irina understands photography and is able to manipulate these situations to make her not successful in the art world, but successful with selling her photographs online. The predominant buyer of her works is a faceless, nameless man who is sat at the end of another computer, who finds satisfaction, gratification. He enjoys the art and he's looking to provide her with money. And let's talk about how men are viewed, because there's definitely a essence that Eliza Clark wants to get off, that this man is a creep of some sort, that he's looking for sexual gratification. Not that he's enjoying the photos, but he's sexually interested in this. And even in the first chapter, when Irina is working behind a bar, there laid on the table is that men are creepy, they only want one thing, they're sexual, they're deviant, very much like a 101 patriarchy for beginners. Like, those types of men exist. But Irina's going to photograph someone who's going to change all of that, which is Eddie from Tesco. Now, here's a little bit of a rant. Eliza Clark, I know Eddie works in Tesco, but do we have to call him Eddie from Tesco on every damn page? Anytime Eddie comes up, it is suffixed with from Tesco. I know, I get it. Also, there's no other Eddie, so there's not even like any confusion that's going to come up from this. Just call him Eddie, and just to show how easy and unconfusing it is, from now on, Eddie from Tesco is just going to be Eddie. Eddie is a nerdy, introverted guy who can barely hold a conversation with Irina because he feels so awkward speaking with her, but he feels as though he can somewhat liberate himself from his life the way that he is through this repulsion that he has from engaging in a fetish art. And Irina takes photographs of his repulsion, his uncomfortableness, which gains a lot of traction. And this is where the flaw of a character like Irina comes to mine. She wants to be independent, as all people who are in university want to be, but she is so dependent on her routines, her likes, everything that is around her, that she's unable to let go of it. Therefore, the lines are blurred in regard to the separation of her own art. Eliza says that she doesn't want to have sex. She doesn't find people sexually appealing in her works, but does end up having sex with them. And Eddie is one of those people. Now, if I'm trying to second guess you, you're going to say, oh, the issue that Kieran has is with Irina having sex. Actually, no, the fact that she's sexually liberated is quite okay, and the power play that Irina has within this book is of some interest. We'll talk about why it's some and not always. The issue that I have is that Irina pushes Eddie into a situation he's really uncomfortable with. Eddie is sexually assaulted and then is emotionally manipulated as Irina refuses to engage with him in front of her friends. She just like denies his existence, and Eddie's trying so hard to make this relationship work, and Irina just seems to string it along, and it's not something that is discussed. It hasn't got any nuance to it. It's very much like, if you want to write about sexual manipulation and assault, fine, but you have to have some discussion, because otherwise you're just writing it for the sake of writing it. And this comes back to why I did not enjoy this book, because this book is shock and awe. It's sex and drugs, and the book relies on that. You know, I'm going to say it and I'm going to put it on record. This is a retelling of American Psycho. Patrick Bateman is Irina, but where American Psycho focuses on the violence and sexual endeavours, Eliza Clark is talking about the emotional part of sexual endeavours and where those hierarchies and boundaries lie. Though it's not all doom and gloom, Eliza Clark discusses eating disorders in an interesting way, and the discussions about Irina, how she eats and how she feels when she eats certain foods and how she restricts herself, is nuanced enough that it is able to highlight that cause without being so graphic about it. And this is what this book needs. If you're not keen on the American psychoanalysis, let me say it in a different way. This book exudes everything that was happening in 1990s art scene in Britain, in London at that time. The YBA, the Young British Artists. If Tracy Emin had written a book now, I feel as though this is what that book would be like. Though I will say Tracy Emin did write a book, and it is like incredible. Go out and read it. And while you have these notions of Emin coming through, it also speaks to in-your-face theatre, predominantly Sarah Kane, and in-your-face theatre is what you think in-your-face theatre is. This book is up in your face, and it's not going to relinquish anything. It wants to hold you there and show you what humans can do. But those things worked in the 1990s. Anything now feels a little bit tacky. It's already been done, and when it was new and fresh and interesting, to replicate it now, it's a bit lackluster. I don't doubt, and I wouldn't put it past Eliza Clark, that this is some pastiche, some homage to those movements and how critical they were to art of nowadays. It is a story, but it doesn't really change the characters. Irina's the same person at the beginning who she is at the end. Boy Part is really a pizza cutter. It's all edge and no point. It's a 4 out of 10 for me. Yeah, that's it.